it's beyond ridiculous, and yet at the same time, like, very believable. Of like, well, if you were a kid, this would ruin Christmas for you forever, or you couldn't really enjoy it.
Her explanation just comes at the most like inopportune time.
Yes.
In terms of everything falling apart. And then all of a sudden you have this moment of like intense psychological trauma discussion.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Skiffy and Fanny Shows at the Movies.
Now I have another reason to hate Christmas.
Her story's sad. Yeah, go on. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, good lord. Have you seen the sequel to Gremlins, by the way?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I adore the sequel.
Because it's even more ridiculous than this.
Yeah, they're very different movies, doing completely different things, right? So, yeah. And it's much more meta, but both brilliant in different ways. Not looking forward to the third one. I don't expect it's going to be any good.
No, I expect all of those sequels of great 40-year-old films to not terribly be great. But anyway, I'm Sean.
I'm Daniel.
And on today's show, if you can't tell already, we're discussing the 1984 holiday comedy horror classic, Gremlins, written by Chris Columbus and directed by Joe Dante, with cinematography by John Hora. It stars Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Hoyt Axton, Polly Holliday, Francis Lee McCain, Judge Reinhold, Dick Miller, and many others. I'm sorry, did you miss baby Corey Feldman?
Corey Feldman, yes. He's just buried further down on the cast list.
No. He's got speaking lines. He does. He interacts.
He has a great role.
Yeah. You stop.
He's pivotal to the plot.
He even cuts the little line with when he's being attacked. You give him the credit he deserves. Dang it. Anyway, it also includes several cameos, creature designs by Chris Wallace, and the voice of Howie Mandel as Gizmo,
and a lot of other voice actors as well.
Tons.
Before we get into our discussion of the movie, a reminder to our listeners to please share your questions and comments with us at skiffyandfanty.com/listener suggestions. If you aren't already, join us on Twitch for Sean's Alphabet streams every Friday at 7 p.m. Central to be a part of our interactive live streaming show format. Finally, be sure to review and spread the word about our show. Help support us through our Patreon and be part of our Torture Cinema polls, live watches, or other special Patreon-only events on Discord. And those of you live, if you're not on Patreon, you could join and break... Oh, wait, the tie is already broken. You could make it retied in terms of what movie we're watching for Torture Cinema this month for Christmas.
That's so nice of you, Daniel. That's so nice. Okay, well, Daniel, you wrote the script for this episode, which means you volunteered yourself to tell us the short summary of Gremlins.
Do you want to go for it, or shall I?
Oh, sure, I could do it. You want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead then.
All right, the world's most impressionable and loving and sweet deadbeat dad, who is a struggling inventor by the name of Randall Peltzer, goes to a nondescript Chinatown of some imaginary, looking for a present for his son. Of course, he cannot help himself.
I think it's supposed to be New York City.
Nobody knows. It's not a real Chinatown. It's imagined Chinatown. Anyway, he shows up in Chinatown looking for a present for his son. He cannot give up an opportunity to try to sell one of his gizmos, which is the bathroom buddy. And then he discovers this furry creature they call a mogwai, which in Cantonese roughly translates to devil. The owner of this store doesn't want to sell it. He manages to, I guess, trick the grandson into giving it to him by offering a lot of money that they need. He pays $200 for it. He brings it home and he learns the 3 rules of the mogwai. And do you remember the 3 rules?
Number 1 is they do not like sunlight. So keep it in the darkness or low light levels and in general light. And do not put them in direct sunlight because that will kill them.
Yeah. Rule 2?
Rule 2 is do not get them wet. don't even give them water to drink.
Correct. And rule number 3.
Rule number 3 is the most important rule to keep in mind of all, and that is do not, under any circumstances, no matter how much they cry or beg, feed them after midnight.
Dun, dun, dun. There's also a 4th rule, but we won't talk about it. So anyway, he brings it home. He gives it to his young adult son, and then naturally things go horribly awry from there because, of course, one of those 3 rules, if not most of them, is broken in this. Although, in fairness, one of the rules is broken for good reason, and the other 2 are broken either by accident or by deliberate deception and subterfuge. And so the whole town now is beset upon by a whole bunch of these basically little asshole gizmos that become asshole gremlins, and they tear up the town and things go awry, and the son and his girl that he kind of is macking on and then he gets on a date with basically save the town. The end.
And everyone lives happily ever after, except those that died in the chaos.
Nope, that's not true. That's not true, because one person does in fact die.
Well, a few people die.
Well, one person specifically we cheer for, Mrs. Deagle. Mrs.
Deagle? You were cheering for her?
She's literally this film's like Scrooge.
She's like Miss Gulch.
She's Scrooge and the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, like Miss Gulch from Wizard of Oz. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Totally.
And she dies.
She does.
Yeah.
But presumably she's, tossed from that chair at very high speeds through the upper floor window out into a snowbank. And she's just kind of like upside down in the snow, right? So like presumably like you just see her legs sticking out.
No, she dead.
She dead?
She flew out through a window at high speeds
and landed on her head.
Second floor and landed, and she's an old frail lady
who requires
one of the with a weak heart, she tells us, and it needs one of those, what do you call those, the like little stair helper
the chairlift
in order to get up and down. The chairlift thing. Yeah. So that anyway, look, she dies. That's what I'm saying. So if you're ever wondering, does the dog die? No, the dog does not die. The
dog was supposed to die.
The dog does.
A lot more death was supposed to be in this, apparently, including the dog.
I'm glad.
And the mother.
Yeah, a lot. But no, the mom is actually kind of badass in this. But anyway, okay.
She is. Yeah.
Hold on. We're just like rambling, and there's a lot of stuff. Let's pause.
Do we have to back this up? Back up the snowplow.
Yes. Please do. The one that has no foreign parts in it. We'll talk about him in a minute. Jesus.
Dick Miller. I love him.
He's having fun. But yeah, anyway. So I'm going to go on a limb. We both have seen this before, and we've probably seen this more than once.
Correct.
Before.
Though not as often as I would have expected I would have. I think this might be the 3rd time I've watched it all the way through, which is really surprising given when it came out, and like Ghostbusters came around the same time, I think maybe even the same year. And I've seen Ghostbusters probably hundreds of times. But this, for some reason in my childhood, I never really saw it until later, and other than in bits and pieces or something. And so it's not as ingrained in my memory as many other movies. And I should have loved the hell out of it as a kid. So I'm not quite sure why that was.
Interesting. I probably seen it about the same number of times as you have, which is weird because I really like this film.
Yeah.
It's a very fun, very, very fun film. I definitely saw it when I was younger, and I would say this film, I see Annie in chat saying that they were traumatized by this. I wouldn't say I was traumatized per se, but definitely more scared than I was watching it this time, where I found it a lot more funny in just especially the Gremlins just being kind of ridiculous and absurd sort of caricatures of monsters. Especially like the bar scene where they're just like mimicking the kinds of bar sequences we've seen, but like dialed up to like 27, and it's all just kind of chaotic. It's
a Looney Tunes cartoon, right?
It is. You're right.
It's like like in the old Looney Tunes when they'd recreate movies from the 40s. The bar scenes of the film noir or something, and it's the exact same thing. Guy. Exactly.
I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. So I like this film quite a lot, and rewatching it I rewatched it today. I found myself really just like getting into it and really enjoying it, but also finding a lot of the atmosphere of it and the like quirky humor, a lot more funny as an adult than certainly I remember as a child. There's a lot of really great little one-liners. There's a lot of sort of running gags that kind of get repeated throughout, like the father's gag, for example, where he's this inventor, but like every single one of his inventions doesn't work the way it should. They all sound cool, but none of them work the way they should. And he's relentlessly trying to sell these gadgets to people.
And relentlessly optimistic about them all.
So optimistic. But I love that gag. It's like every time he gets an opportunity to sell one of his gadgets, it's just so over the top. And I love the play that they're having with this character.
Or the sword
I just found it very funny.
The sword that falls off the wall every time somebody walks through the door in the front door.
These little details. Yeah, lots of little details about it. I don't know. There's a part of it made me think a lot about how much I just love 80s, like good 80s movies, right? Obviously, there's like really, really horrifically cheap, terrible 80s films, but sort of, those like not giant budget, but like a decent chunk of change went into it. This is like $11 million budget, which for the 80s is a pretty decent chunk. Right? Like that amount of money going into making a film, and you can kind of just really get into the sort of aesthetic of the film. For me, this was so much fun to watch. The atmosphere of it, the characters, the way it looks, the way it sounds, even the pacing and the plotting for me. I was engrossed. Again, I just found it so much fun.
I would say 80s are probably the pinnacle of black comedies or dark comedies. Of having that blend and mixture of a very specific comedic sensibilities that were inspired from, like, the Looney Tunes. They were inspired by humor from, back to vaudeville, Marx Brothers, like all of those traditional types things. But they now gave them this new sort of edginess and darkness that the other ones might have hinted at on occasion, but didn't really commit to fully. And the 80s, I think, was famous for doing various types of genre and going a little more darker into it than you may have been in the past. The 70s went darker in terms of like horror often, or grittiness of crime movies. Like you got that grittiness in the 70s, but it wasn't until the 80s that you combined that grittiness with things that were more historically lighthearted in nature, I think.
I kind of wish David was here because, gosh, I don't know. I'm going to take your word for it because I don't know that I can challenge that at all, because I kind of agree.
We're going to go with it.
I feel like I'm missing.
I'm sure there are precedents prior, but I think that sort of, again, reached the pinnacle. That was when it came to its fullness, I would say.
Oh, yeah, I get what you mean.
Because you even have, like, that's why we got the PG-13 rating, right? It's because of this movie. It's because of Temple of Doom, where you took, like, action movies that were really obviously based off of, action serials of the 40s or 30s, and then put this new edginess and darkness to it that wouldn't have been in those originals. And it was a little too bleak and dark or disturbing, traumatizing for younger viewers that might have, enjoyed those cheesy 40s serials that led to, saying, oh, we need to come up with something more than just PG.
Wintermute in chat is referencing Better Off Dead.
Exactly. Yeah. That was another one that I was thinking of. Yeah.
It is interesting you mentioned, because this is referred to as like a black comedy very specifically, right? It's a comedy that is, delighting in its sort of sadisticness at times. I would say, like, Mrs. Deagle, I don't find particularly funny, but I do find the Gremlins remarkably funny, even when they're being, like absurdly violent. It's very funny to watch.
Like with the chainsaw.
With the chainsaw, he's like fighting him with the chainsaw at one point, right? And then when he gets, kicked away, the chainsaw like drags him away, holding on to it, right? It's such a silly sequence, but it's very funny and violent and he's sadistic, right? Stripe, as he's referred to, the Mohawk Mogwai that becomes a mohawked gremlin. He is just very sadistic. About like the only times I feel like this film is not funny, or at least a little bit humorous at all, is when Stripe is killed at the end. This very gruesome death, which I don't know if they meant there to be any funny there, but I didn't find it particularly funny.
There's a bit of funny or humor in the comeback when you think he's dead, when all of a sudden the skeleton pops out and then kind of like starts jumping and then just completely melts and starts bubbling, and the dog is looking at the bubbles kind of warily and kind of backs off. So like in that, the final death throes, the over-the-top death throes of that are...
I don't find that funny, but like, I guess...
there's some humor in that. But his initial like dying from the sunlight now. I agree.
It's just very graphic, right? In a I think an important way. I think we needed a little bit of that, because the scene where the mother fights off the gremlins, right, is incredibly violent, but there is like some really dark humor to the way she kills them all. One she literally stabs to death and its legs are twitching in the background as she shoves the other one in a microwave and blows it up in the microwave. And prior to both of that, one was digging around in one of the contraptions that the husband has made, that like a blender of some kind, and she blends it up as its green blood squirts on the walls. They're all like really gruesome and violent, but there's just something so absurd with the way they die that it is really funny, in a like uncomfortable funny way.
Well, Joe Dante, got his start with Roger Corman movies.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right?
Yep.
And so and loving, again, Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry and such. And so like Chuck Jones even has that cameo appearance as Mr. Jones, the art instructor, that Billy's, drawing and showing his drawing to. And so it really, again, is that marriage between sort of those dark horror elements and that absurd comedy of almost like The Simpsons Itchy and Scratchy, right? That ultra violent cat and mouse thing that's just like so over the top that it's hard to take it seriously.
You're right? Like, because there's a lot of sort of, I mean, didn't he get his break in like B movies essentially?
Oh yeah,
I think.
Yeah, he was the associate director on some of and other jobs, I'm sure, throughout the years on Corman's pictures. And then his first directing debut was on the Corman-produced Piranha.
Yeah, 1978. Yeah. Well, I think it's important to kind of recognize that B-movie quality, because that's a lot of that is here. There's a lot of self-reference too. Like, even the film noir scene is itself like referencing, it is doing a very clear pastiche play on classic film noir, and doing it in the way that all of the films that copied the big films of film noir would do, right? And then taking that to the next level of the copy, because literally one of the other Gremlins is like bringing up puppet women and going, like the women are talking to him while he's got his hat, his little fedora, and like a snifter of some alcohol. A bottle of scotch. Yeah. As he's just like listening, as if the gremlin with the little puppet women is saying anything. And it's like, no, that like literally it's nonsense that's happening right now. It's like they're filming a scene, almost for our amusement, which, I mean, literally that's what happens. But to me, there's just a lot of this very clear reference to older films, but to like the very cheaply built sort of formulaic variations of them, like very on purpose. And I know that is one of the criticisms reviewers at the time made of this, because there's one review that's just like, oh, it's a lot of jokes and like there's so many references to these jokes. And my thinking the whole time is going, but these are actually the funny jokes. Like it's utterly absurd that these creatures have come up with all of these references that they're making. And that's like their whole personality is just like a giant copycat machine of violence.
And causing chaos, and just, they're like little kids, right? They're just tearing everything apart, and they just happen to be deadly in the process because of what they are. Yeah.
It makes the scene in the Gremlins 2 where they get the talking gremlin,
Right.
and he's like on a talk show or whatever, and they're like, well, what is it that
and
you
he has
want?
the posh British
like,
accent.
Yeah, he's Australian. He's Australian.
Oh, is it Australian? Okay.
Yeah, and he's sitting there talking about, we just want civilization, and like we want all the things that go with that, like how do we get tickets to the new Broadway show? Like all of these like ridiculous things. In the middle of which he literally shoots another gremlin in the face as other gremlins are in a bar destroying the bar, watching him on TV. And it's sort of so self-referential of like they want civilization, but not really. They're just chaos gremlins. Like they're just there to destroy and manipulate in any way that they can. And I find that scene even funnier when you think about that immediately after this film. If you like watch them back to back, it makes it so much funnier to me.
It's filled with glorious references to the past movies. And the time machine little bit that's in there in the scene when he's talking on the phone. The movie posters, the various movies that like there's the Barbara Stanwyck Clark Gable movie that plays that inspires Gizmo for like the race car driving. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I think. I forget what the other ones are, but yeah, there's lots of great references throughout this. And the other, you were talking before about sort of how we were both talking about how it has this darkness, but also has a comedic side to all of that where you can't just help but laugh at the absurdity. And all of that is sort of epitomized in that scene with Phoebe Cates, where she tells that story about the Christmas where her father died in this tragic accident. And they parody it in the second movie because even here in the first one, like Spielberg apparently wanted them or thought they should probably take it out, but he didn't make Dante take it out because Dante wanted it so much. And Dante was like, no, this summarizes the whole movie. And it really is that, like, it's such an absurd story. It's tragic. And yet at the same time, you can't help look at it and like really and like laugh at the absurdity of it. And so I guess in some way this tickles my fancy because it ultimately is this, concept of laughing at death.
I mean, her story is itself like really like both tragic, but also like absurdly comical.
Yeah.
Right. The reason she hates Christmas is her dad literally falling and breaking his neck while dressed as Santa. And that's how she found out Santa wasn't real.
Right? And getting stuck in the chimney and decaying, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
It's beyond ridiculous. And yet at the same time, like very believable of like, well, if you were a kid, this would ruin Christmas for you forever. Or you couldn't really enjoy it.
Her explanation just comes at the most like inopportune time.
Yes.
In terms of everything falling apart. And then all of a sudden you have this moment of like intense psychological trauma discussion.
Yeah. But that's also like right before he asks her on a date, right?
No, it's she first mentions her issues with Christmas. She's like,
that's right. Okay.
She talks about how like not everybody like is trying to talk very seriously. Not everybody is happy during Christmas. Like it's a time when people get depressed, when suicide rates go up, etc. Like the church I go to, we actually have a special service for the area called Blue Christmas, where it's for people to come to if you want to celebrate Christmas in that setting, but don't want it to be the normal, like traditional time of joy and celebration, because for whatever reason, it's a time you associate with depression or trauma or depressing thoughts. And so like she's trying to have this serious conversation. He's just kind of like not understanding. And she's like, geez, hey, Washington's birthday or Thanksgiving and you're fine, but hate Christmas and everybody treats you like a leper. But she doesn't go into the details of it until like basically the Gremlins are tearing apart the whole town and they seek cover in one of the stores. I think it's when they first get into like the department store or the toy store or something like that.
Yeah.
And she just chooses then to give the whole story.
She makes a good point though, which like if you just don't like a holiday, you shouldn't have to like reveal your deep inner trauma for why you don't like it. People should just go, oh, okay, she just doesn't like it and we'll just leave her alone. But everyone's like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And then like once you hear the story, you're like, oh, I get why you didn't tell us, because that's really messed up.
Yeah.
So this is a Christmas movie, right? I mean, it's definitively so. In a way that I would say, like, Die Hard is not. I'm not going to argue with people about whether Die Hard is actually a Christmas movie because I don't care that much. But there is this element of, like, people say, well, it's a Christmas movie because it's, like, set during Christmas at a Christmas party at work, et cetera, et cetera.
And he's trying to get home for Christmas,
right, yeah, like, kind of, sort of, like, I mean, whatever. So is Alan Rickman. He's just trying to get a bag so that he can buy an island to have Christmas on. Calm down, right? But in this, right, it's not just like that Christmas is part of like the setting, right? It's taking place during the holiday season, right? Multiple aspects of its plot are like completely dependent on the Christmas season, right? The Mogwai doesn't end up here except that it is a Christmas present for his son, right? Phoebe Cates' character's trauma, why she doesn't like Christmas, which is a part of some of the conversations that are had, has to do with a Christmas trauma itself. Right. There is the even some of the like common Christmas philosophy kind of at work, which is like when Mrs. Deagle is literally like walking into the bank that she owns or something. I don't know exactly how that works. Right. And this woman comes up to her and says like, oh, we have jobs now. Can you just give us a little bit of time so that we can, not have our house foreclosed on? And she Scrooges it immediately, right? Saying, I'm in it to get money and, like, I don't care about you, blah, 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 blah. That, of course, comes back later in the story. And, of course, she dies. But, like, that gets back to those very common Christmas themes of, like, this is the season of giving. And we're supposed to take care of people and, like, do the right thing and all of that. And people that don't, bad things happen to them. She's basically about to be Scrooged, it literally, right? Except that what comes for her is death. Right, that's what ultimately gets her. So I love that that's like at the core of the film. And yes, it's funny monster creatures and like all of the jokes, etc. But like in the core of the narrative is a Christmas story. Literally, it's just a Christmas story in the center with all of the sort of feel good qualities of it, right up to including like the family together, the very like kind of sad but still kind of heartwarming goodbye at the end when the Mogwai leaves. Right. Those all are sort of part of that Christmas narrative. So when I call it a Christmas movie, it's like it's not just because it's set there. Like it is a Christmas movie. There's just no Santa.
Right. No, it is. There's the drunk Santa that gets attacked by the Gremlins at the one moment. Day. Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. But that gets to sort of like there's multiple themes in the movie, but one of the core ones I guess would be that it's this tale of, American suburbia, like most of Joe Dante, like the Burbs is, right? It's the idea that you have this idyllic little town and everything is really fucked up, really at heart. And so this does that concept with this idyllic picture of what Christmas is in the American concept of Christmas in terms of holidays and traditions and sort of the perfect Christmas season getting completely upended into chaos and destruction. And that's because, right, people don't actually respect the tenets of it in terms of, like, you have Mrs. What's her name? Deagle. You have them ignoring, the rules of the Mogwai and not being responsible caretakers of nature. You have what other kinds of destruction and misfit damage do you have? I can't even think now of others, but that's
there's the racist one. Do you want to get to the racist one, which is a joke in this
against and born of presumably him being of that age and being in World War II and such, of the hatred of foreign components, right? And,
no. I think there's actually
are you referring to something else? Oh,
no. So. You're right. And, Dick, the actor's name, the son of a stick, Miller?
Dick Miller.
Thank you. Yeah. His character is this guy who lives next door. He's generally a nice guy, but like he has this thing about all machinery in America. You don't buy foreign shit. And to be clear, his foreign shit seems to be all foreign shit, but it starts with the VW bugs, which is, I think, why you think the World War II thing, because Germany,
that and because, like, the time, of course, Japan was putting more and more foreign things, so between Germany and Japan.
That is the thing that I think, so this is what happens, right, in the 1970s with the oil crisis, right? Japan begins to introduce some of its, well, more seriously introduce some of its vehicles in the United States at the same time that the U.S. is making like vehicles that are cheaply made, and they make the Ford Pinto. Like, need I say more, right? And so you have this upending of the auto industry as a part of that quote unquote foreign invasion. And it's actually the auto industry, like the manufacturer's fault in the United States, is partly responsible for this because they're just making better cars. But he's like feeding that narrative because he doesn't want any foreign components because he thinks, like, he makes a reference to the World War II thing, which is like the gremlins in your parts, right? Like they'll come in and destroy, right, the like mystical spirits in the machine. But he thinks that's all foreign parts, all foreign manufacturing, etc. He's like one step away from being a Trump voter, right? Except he's kind of nice, and his other politics are unclear.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I think that's probably a little too far. He's just really proud of American-made stuff.
To an extreme. He's xenophobic.
He's xenophobic, correct. Yeah, he's xenophobic, but it is almost... Is there any time where it's geared toward people as opposed to just parts and materials? I mean, it's indirectly towards people, but...
Yes. I think in the 80s, the politics, right, in this moment, he's not. But if he continues down the trek he's going,
correct.
He would.
Yes. I would also agree that in the actual reality of that sentiment, it was much broader. Yeah. But yeah, it's different how it's like focused in the movie because it's being done in the movie for storytelling purposes, really.
Right, and it's a joke in the film. Like, I'm just like doing the serious like historicism blah, blah, thing, but realistically, like we're not supposed to take his view in the film, right? His view is really absurd. I mean, this is a guy who takes his snowplow, which is, I think, basically a piece of farming equipment with a snowplow at the front. He takes it to the bar, gets so drunk that he can't actually drive the thing that goes like 2 miles an hour back safely. He just has to walk home, right? And I think it's very clear that he means well. He isn't, as you say, attacking any person. He is just saying, like, the idea of, like, foreign manufacturing bad, American manufacturing good, but also, like, he is super encouraging of his neighbor because he wants him to get into the comics, right? He seems like he's a nice guy. He just gets a little drunk. The moment I think he's going to be mean to his wife is the moment that she makes the joke that he's like, "What? Why are you touching the TV?" And she's like, "You have the thing." And they both laugh about it, like they're both in on the joke, right? So he's this kind of guy where if he's like very clearly being presented to us as like a piece of sort of political humor, but he is not being presented to us with like that larger thing explicitly part of it. That's an interpretation I'm putting into it. He's a
relic of another time as well, because even with the comic references, right? He like his comics are Lil Abner, and I forget the other one even, but right. And Billy's like, they don't have those anymore in the funnies. It's like those comics don't exist anymore. Yeah. And if people haven't seen, I mean, he's in lots of movies. He's in every single one of Joe Dante's movies, I think. But if you haven't seen the Roger Corman movie, A Bucket of Blood, I encourage you to go see that. It's one where he actually has the starring role, and he is fabulous in it. He doesn't seem like he's made to be the leading man, but definitely worth it in A Bucket of Blood. And he was in the original Little Shop of Horrors. So he
was, yeah, and he had a very long career. Did a lot of film and television work, and so you'll probably recognize his face if you don't know who we're talking about.
He's that
guy. If you've seen enough movies, you'll recognize his face. Yeah,
he's been in Star Trek.
He's been in everything. Like, I mean, freaking Lois and Clark. I mean, come on, he's been in so much. But he's a fun character actor. He's just very good at playing a very particular kind of character. But it is nice when they get to do other stuff. Yeah. Can we talk about the special effects a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Let's start with the puppetry, because I think we start there. Gizmo is, I think, still pretty believable.
Oh, yes. Yeah, totally.
And there's some trickery going on, because there's moments where they pick him up while he's moving,
Mm-hmm.
And he does sort of leave frame question mark and then come back in and he's moving
still
again.
moving. Yeah.
So there's some trickery, and I don't know if it's an animatronic thing or they're just doing some sleight of hand, but I thought that was really clever. And I love the Gizmo character. Like, I could see it being really easy to act with it because it feels pretty lifelike.
It is. He's so darn cute, right? He's so cute and lovable. And you look at that face and the design, you just see the personality, right? I could see it being very easy to relate and act with that if you were given him to do so. So, yeah, totally.
Kind of a shame they're not real.
The Gremlins, like during their metamorphosis and the sort of like disgusting little pods that they form, right? Those are shot wonderfully with goo and just the right lighting to make them look creepy and fantastic. There are a few shots of the actual Gremlins moving in mass that look a little dated to me. But by and large, I find that puppetry kind of motion and the general, like, everyday shots of the various types of Gremlins to look far more realistic and believable than most CGI that I still say. So,
yeah, I mean, I agree that there are definitely some sequences, like the first sequence when you see the, like, big army of them walking through town. It's a little bit rough.
It's a little off, yeah.
It's not that bad, but you can kind of, it's like, it's not quite there. And definitely, like, you get the big theater shot where there's just so many of them, and they're not all really being animated, like, in terms of their movement to the same degree. So maybe some of that is just not really having enough puppetry actors, and some of it's just they just didn't make them all articulable enough.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of that. I think mostly, though, you find them very menacing, and they just shoot them really effectively. Stripe especially, because they just they give a lot of close-up shots.
Mm-hmm.
He's got movement in his mouth bits, and he makes a whole bunch of noises. Yeah. But they made
Frank Welker does the voice
choices
of him, and
Welker,
voice of Scooby-Doo, countless other cartoon characters, does a great job with that. One of my favorite shots of the movie of them is actually their silhouettes when they're all like hopping up to attack the screen when they notice Billy and is it Kate that are on the other side of the movie screen in that movie theater, and they all start coming up and you just see all their, bat-like ear silhouettes approaching and hopping around. Really simple effect of them. Don't even have to show the puppets, but it's one of the most menacing shots I think of them.
Well, they have a few, shadow shots of them, which is, I think, helps enhance that sort of menace of the characters. I mean, shadow shots are just really good in general. I just like shadows when they're shot really, really well. And, like the bar scene is just very lively and chaotic. Very chaotic. I think that partly helps that I imagine if you watched it like very closely and focused, you'd probably kind of see the like a wonkiness of the movement. But because so much is going on, stuff's flying around, Phoebe Cates is running around trying to serve them, it just sort of blends. It becomes this beautiful blend of chaos, which I don't know. I just really, really like that. And then there's also stuff that they do that's just, basically smoke and lighting effects. So like when Stripe just falls in the pool and it's just green light and smoke billowing out, and then the wonderful sound effects as the sound builds up and you hear Stripe like these like moans that get higher in pitch as it goes along. Those kinds of shots I think are just remarkably well done. They're not complicated shots. They just work wonderfully at conveying the scale and the movement and feel of those moments.
And yet the lighting in this is a real accomplishment, just in that sense that you need to keep things relatively dark.
Yeah.
Yet everything's clearly seen. Like you get that sense that it's dark, yet you can still see things. One of my annoyances with modern movies so often is that particularly like we don't own a particularly large TV. And so there are a lot of movies I watch where I can't tell what the hell's going on because the scene is so poorly lit that you can't make out the details, or it's so small on the screen I can't make it out. And this, you get both senses. You get the sense of the light and darkness, or like in that bar scene where there's the darkness, but then Phoebe Cates is shooting them with the camera flash, right? The Polaroid camera, and the flash is going off.
Yeah.
Like, everything works and everything's done at the right balance to make out the details. And that, I'd be curious to hear about Phoebe Cates' experience filming that scene too, because it's just her and like dozens of puppets that you have to navigate this chaos with glass exploding all around you, and, go on a certain path to shoot the different gremlins so that they fall down as the light flash. That could not have been easy to, I can imagine that being like a multi-day shooting kind of schedule.
I think it's interesting you mentioned the lighting, because it's a thing that it's the only thing that's making me think more about buying a new TV that's higher definition and has deeper blacks. Because when they would release films on like your TV, right? Like people didn't have like HD TVs, so they would like make films, they'd letterbox them, all kinds of stuff, right? That they'd literally make them to fit your TV, and then sometimes they'd like mess with the color to get the right contrast, because like people aren't just not using, they don't have that depth, they don't have a theater screen, they don't have all of that stuff. So you just get like wonky television colors, and sometimes you just get blurry image in general because you have an antenna, but whatever, right? Well, now, like, if you watch a film that's really, really dark and your TV or the DVD you're working with is just not designed to give you the full deeps of those blacks, you see the, like, stagnation of the colors. Right. And then you lose definition.
Right.
And so...
Or if it's not at the right settings or whatever.
Precisely, yeah. And so it'd be interesting to see, like, what would this film in, like, a digital remaster, and for, like, a 4K... on an actual 4K TV would look like. Like, are those, is there more contrast that comes out? Are they going to master it differently? I don't know. This is me rambling about like, just
I have it on just DVD, and I'm not one because again, my TV's too small for 4K definition, and so it's utterly useless to me. And even there's a difference I noticed between DVD and Blu-ray, but not enough for me to care that much in terms of like, the main thing is, can I see the movie and watch it? And honestly, I don't often. It doesn't make a difference. But my eyesight's also very poor, so that might have.
Yeah. Well, we should mention the sound in this is also very easy to hear.
Oh, yes, it is.
Right? There's not a lot of mumbling and poorly edited audio levels. You can understand. I mean, if you don't understand something, it's because it was a gremlin saying something and they just speak nonsense, right? So,
right.
But very easy to
in terms
hear.
of the sound, the music, Jerry Goldsmith, who is a great, film composer just in general, really does a great job in this. Both in the, I don't know if he chose the, previously composed music or not, but just the song choices and his original music are both fantastic.
Well, some of it's not original.
Correct. Yeah, it starts out with the movie or the music from Christmas Gift to You by Phil Spector, or from Phil Spector.
Yeah, so there's some stuff on it that's from there, and then there is some material by another composer that's, I think, recorded by whatever the orchestra is that did the film score, but is not originally composed by Jerry Goldsmith. And then there's like a whole sea of stuff that is from there. But then you're right? There's like music, Christmas music, and other kinds of things that are included in here. But it's just kind of typical. Like, it makes sense. And it's a good soundtrack. And I like the theme, the Gremlins theme that's in this. I do think that theme, they improve upon it in the second film by just giving it a little bit more life. But it's a very wonky kind of off-key.
Fits perfectly.
But it fits perfectly with what they are. Yeah. I mean, realistically, there's almost nothing wrong with this film.
No. In fact, before we watched it, you had made some comment about, like, I better not, like, complain about something or, like, critique something in this movie, like, based on something else I had said. And I was like, I don't know if I would have anything negative. And as I was watching it, I was trying to come up with, like, what is something I could say negatively about this film? And I'd be hard pressed. I think Even though I probably like the Burbs better because of just my watching it throughout my life and loving, again, very similar Joe Dante type themes, this is kind of a perfect movie.
I agree. I can't really honestly find a lot of fault. I mean, I guess you can nitpick it, but why? It's delightful. It's fun. It's funny. It's silly.
And what's remarkable is the second one is just as good, if not better, but a very different film.
Its reputation isn't.
What's that?
The reputation of the second one's not the same, though.
So it depends who you talk to. I think at the time it bombed. I'd say it would have I don't know if you want to call it a cult following, but I think most horror fans and most fans of this kind of movie would say that they prefer the second one, and that it's a case of where the sequel actually does better than the first one, just particularly in terms of artistic depth
I could see
to
that.
it.
Yeah.
So it's gained a far greater appreciation over the years since it first came out. But general audience, like everyday, Joe and Jill moviegoer,
yeah.
I think the first one is what most people would go for. But.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the classic. I mean, it's hard to dislike anything about this film, but it does make one wish that Mogwai were real.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't think we'd be able to handle them still.
I'm responsible.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
but is everybody
helmet.
But then you let Corey Haim into your house, or Corey Feldman, excuse me, the other Corey. You let Corey Feldman into your house, right? And Corey Feldman spills water on the Mogwai.
No, he's not allowed in my house. No offense, Corey Feldman, but if I have a Mogwai around, you're not coming in my house. It's not happening. I don't allow it. Well, look, I think we've kind of hit it, because I don't know that there's a lot we could say. Folks in chat, I think, similarly like this movie because nobody has said anything negative so far. But Paul did make a joke earlier that I missed. No, they hate us, but that's different. Okay. Oh. So Paul made a joke for you, which is that the secret rule of Gremlins is that Gremlins do not like gram-negative bacteria.
I did not know that.
And I thought there was a joke there that a bacteriologist would know, and I don't know the joke, so... Okay.
I don't. Well, yeah, I'm not picking up on the joke of it, other than similarities of gram and grem. But also, I'm very slow at getting jokes often, which my wife points out to me a lot. Paul just says it was a
randable thing to make a Daniel reference.
Oh, okay.
So it's my fault for interpreting it as a joke. Okay. And Configuration Queen says she has never seen it. I would recommend you watch Gremlins. It's very good. Full stop.
Agree.
All right. Agree. Okay, so, folks, that's it. So if you'd like to let us know what you thought about the episode and you were not here live with us, go to skiffyandfanty@gmail.com, which is our email, and send us a message. Or if you're in the Discord already, because you're a member of the Patreon, you can go to the Discord page. There's a show discussion and a movies discussion channel, so you could talk about this if you so like. We are on Blue Sky, Threads, Mastodon, YouTube, a couple of other places if you'd like to find us places. Our show goes out as an audio podcast and also as video version. So if you're unable to come in person and you want to see our faces as we talk through this and giggle and stuff, you can do so on YouTube. So remember, every Friday, at least up until the 19th of this month in December, when we go on hiatus for a little bit, at 7 p.m., we will be live on Twitch for a live show format, twitch.tv/alphabetstreams. And if you like what we do, spread the word about us, leave reviews, tell your friends, throw our episodes on CD at unsuspecting passengers, whatever you got to do. And then go to patreon.com/skiffingfanty and give us any dollar that you do not need for food, medication, or general survival. So, speaking of Patreon supporters, we got a bunch to thank. So, we've got Andrew the Alluring, Cameron the Chthonic, Carolyn the Benevolent, Carrie the Divine, Chris the Candescent, Dan the Transient, Daniel the Cultured, David the Debonair, JC the Jocular, Jeff the Gracious, Joseph the Jovial, Juan the Junctional, KB the Kind, Karen the Kickass, Kat the Kinematic, Matthew the Magnificent,
Paul the Pious, Phoebe the Eloquent, Robin the Bold, Ryan the Resilient, Sarah A. the Sensational, Sarah E. the Sublime, Sarah O. the Rapturous, Scott the Gentleman, Stephen the Strange, Therese the Thorough, Tanya the Triumphant, Trish the Imperturbable, and Victor the Valiant.
Awesome. Well, I'm at SeanDuke.net. Just put /Duke things to find all of our stuff there. If you want to find me places, I stream Wednesdays, Sundays, 6 p.m. Central at twitch.tv/alphabetstreams.
And you can find me, Daniel, at Reading 1000 Lives on Blue Sky or website, and at the Skiffy and Fanty blog.
All right. As required by the Skiffy and Fanty bylaws, I must make this happy. And I just wanted everybody to know that there are 3 rules to Daniel. 3 rules, okay? Rule number 1, one must not pet Daniel with a flat comb. Rule 2, do not let Daniel outside during the World Series. And rule 3, thou shalt not feed Daniel a subpar whiskey, lest thee be punished.
All good rules.
All good rules indeed.
So I have something to contribute, though, first to a happy note.
Okay.
Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, okay, go.
What makes me happy is that there is apparently a total of 33 films that are Gremlins ripoffs. Gremlin ripoff films. 33. And my new mission for Sean in his life is for Sean to watch and rate all 33 Gremlins ripoff films. That would make me happy.
Here's the deal. If we get to $100 a month on Patreon by the end of the year, I will make sure that we do a special Torture Cinema on any one of these that people would like to pick, and we'll do it.
The list is on Letterboxd. You can find it.
Yeah. That means we need to get $27 extra a month on there. That's it. So there it is. There it is. All right. On that note, happy ending and scene. If you want to support this show, you can go to patreon.com/skiffyandfanty or skiffyandfanty.com, our website, where you can get access to all of our fancy things. Our music comes from Holy Mole. You can support him and his work at patreon.com/holymole. Thank you for listening.